Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Teacher Neri, and actually today I'm very excited because I'm gonna share something different. Different from the videos I've been making on my channel. I had a chance to collaborate with one of the best ESL teachers from the United States. Her name is Teacher Jamie from Breaking English. And in the video that we made together, we talked about some helpful tips and strategies on how you can improve your fluency and speak in English more confidently.
Hey Neri, hi, how are you?
Hello, Jamie.
Thank you for meeting with us to do this collaboration to talk about just the differences or even similarities between, the students that you work with and the students that I work with. And the whole point of this video is just to give our students something that they can, use as something, like an insider conversation among professors and instructors where we talk about, oh yeah, this is a nice thing that students do and they should all do this. Oh, they shouldn't do this. So I just wanted to ask you a few questions. So the first one is, what kind of school do you work at and where?
Well, I work at a language center here in the Philippines, which I currently manage. And we're employing teachers from the Philippines to teach English to some students from Asia, most especially like Japan, South Korea.
And can you talk a little bit, yeah, I just thought of this, about English in the Philippines, because it's interesting to me that students would want to work with people in the Philippines, but it's not that interesting or surprising because I've had a lot of students from the Philippines, and typically most of them are very advanced. They almost don't even need the classes that I teach. Why is that?
Okay, well, I'm guessing because of our culture. As you may have already known, the Philippines was colonized by, many countries like the Spain and then eventually the Americans. And I feel they have brought their culture to us, including the language.
Yeah.
So that's when it all started. So
Yeah.
Filipinos became very fluent in English because of that. And then English is our second official language. We use it everywhere at schools. The medium of instruction is mostly English. So it's a lot easier for us to learn this language.
Yes, and it's obvious. A lot of my students from the Philippines sound like native speakers of English. So, okay. So I just wanted to check that. Okay, great. Okay,
Okay.
so then I guess I'll talk about a little bit about my school. So I teach at a community college in California. A community college is basically, it's sort of like a university. It's the first 2 years of university. Instead of going straight to a university from high school, students have the opportunity to access community college, and they could take 2 years of college courses there without the heavy fees and without the very difficult, limitations on being able to enroll and be accepted. So anyone is welcome. We welcome anyone who, you don't know how to read, it's fine. You don't speak English, it's fine. We help everybody. We want to help them get those skills, but they need English if they come from another country. And so that's what we're here for.
Wow.
So
Okay.
you already talked a little bit about your students and where they're from, but could you talk a little bit more about what their goals are for going to your
For learning
school, your
English.
program? Yeah.
Learning English online. Normally, the goal is to gain confidence and to be fluent in English. The thing is, most people who are unable to go abroad, perhaps study in another country like the United States or an English-speaking country. So if they're unable to do so, they study online because it's a lot cheaper. It's more affordable, obviously, and also it gives them the opportunity to practice speaking in English because they have no one to speak in English with. Normally, if you live in a country like mine, we speak Filipino, so we speak in Filipino all the time with each other. So similarly with countries like Japan, South Korea, Indonesia, they use their local language to speak with each other. So providing this kind of opportunity to have someone to talk to in English is very important for them to improve their fluency and also gain confidence using the English language.
Definitely. I'd say that's the missing piece always, right? That they just need someone to talk to.
Exactly.
I have a lot of students from Iran, actually.
All
That's
right.
actually the dominant population at my school. And they are here, I mean, most of them, yeah, they're residents. They're going to stay long term. Some of them are
Okay.
international students and will go back. Their goals are typically just they want to get the English, but also get a certificate or a degree from a community college or to
Mhm.
transfer. We're really close to UCLA, and that is their goal. They want to go there. So, and a
Oh,
lot of them
okay.
do. They end up there. So we're really proud.
So you
Yeah.
give them opportunity to, or you help them learn or prepare for what they need for school. I mean, the language.
It's pretty much academic English, but we also encourage them to do speaking and things like that. But
All
our
right.
program is
Okay.
really based on reading and writing and speaking for academic purposes. So this is the real question that I think is going to help the
Mhm.
students who are listening. What kind of like strategies or behaviors or techniques do you see your students use that really help them? And then what kind do you think are not really helpful for them, but they do anyway?
The strategy that we've been employing to students to be able to learn English is to give them opportunities to express themselves. So it's not really very academic compared to schools. Our focus is to give them the chance to use the language, to practice using the English language, because like what I said earlier, this is something that they can't do in their, daily life. They
Right.
don't have any chance to use what they learn from school. So basically, the strategy is to have them express themselves a lot, to have someone they can talk to in English so that they'll be able to use whatever they have learned from school. So that's normally just what we do for online classes. And then
That's
apart from that, then we give them some sort of corrections if we give them some advice on how they can improve their English skills or how to learn vocabulary, how to
yeah.
improve their grammar skills. That helps them a lot. Yeah.
So they're coming to you because they know that they need to practice the language and use it in an authentic way and just
Exactly.
communicate in the language, talking about whatever.
Hmm.
They've learned all these academic things like the grammar and all the rules, but the
Yes.
purpose is just to practice English, just speak,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Communicate. Because, yeah, so many students just don't practice speaking and they don't need to be native speakers of English. That's actually one of the problems that I see
Hmm.
is that students think that they need to talk to someone who speaks English like as their first language and that
Hmm.
it's going to be better or something, and it's
Hmm.
not. They need to speak to someone who speaks English, and most of the time they're going to find people who speak English as a second or third language. Another thing that my students do that I think really helps them is read in English, but
Hmm.
I'll be honest, not a lot of them do. But when they do, you can tell and you can see their vocabulary expand. Also, a lot of our students, since they are able to work in the United States, they get jobs.
Hmm.
And that to me is just so great. I can tell when a student has a job where they have to speak English versus a student who only comes to class for 6 hours a week and only speaks English in that 6 hour class and goes home, back to their house, back to
Right.
their community. Our students, I say, raise your hand if you speak English when you leave this room. And most of them raise their hand. They go back to their homes, they go back to their communities,
Hmm.
and they don't get to practice English. The ones who are
Hmm.
working do, and some of them work for like Uber and Lyft. I don't know if you guys
Hmm.
have that in the Philippines.
We used to have Uber, but
Okay.
I've never heard of the other one. What's the other?
Okay. Lyft.
Oh, Lyft.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's like a lot, I guess. But yeah, those are great jobs because you kind of talk to people, right? When you drive all over the place.
Uh-huh.
I also know that some of them, they make friends, they date, they get on dating apps,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
so they're forced to use a language. So a lot of our
Hmm.
students are really good at knowing what programs on campus will help them. like we have tutoring, they go to that, you know, or we have this program that will help you pay for your books, they go to that.
You mentioned about reading. This is one of the biggest challenges that, I think not only the Filipinos, but a lot of my students have been facing. It's because I would say that not all of us like to read. That's the
Right.
problem. Yeah. So when they read novels or any text, it's usually in their own language or local language. So it's pretty difficult for them to learn or expand their vocabulary because their resources are mostly in their local language. So there's a really little chance for them to improve their vocabulary through that. Another thing is their exposure to the English language is very limited. Like what you said earlier, you ask your student to raise their hand if they use English outside the classroom, and it's really very true in Asia. I know because my students only speak English whenever they talk to us. That's
Right.
the only chance they get.
Right.
Yeah, so it's very difficult to build your confidence in English and fluency if you have very little chance of using the language, right?
Totally. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it really is just a matter of practicing, making the
Mhm.
mistakes, noticing those mistakes, and then fixing them. If they don't make those mistakes, then they're not going to notice that they have those errors kind of still there, and then they won't be able to fix them. So that's what I always tell them is you got to force yourself, but that's so hard when, adults are nervous about sounding wrong. They
Mhm.
don't want to be wrong. They don't want to have a foreign accent, and they
Mhm.
just this affective filter that the stress comes up, and then
Exactly.
they can't
Yeah,
let it
yeah.
out, and they can't take it in.
I think many students develop, varying level of anxiety because they're
Yeah.
afraid of making a mistake in front of other people. So with online classes, they will have the confidence to speak in English and, avoid um, some level of anxieties or being afraid of being judged because their English skills are bad. So that's a good thing about online classes.
Oh yeah, there's so many advantages for ESL students with online classes.
Mhm.
Actually, I remember I was learning Spanish. I was
Mhm.
living in Spain, and I had to take classes with Spanish people and speak Spanish in class, and it was
Mhm.
so intimidating, and I never wanted to talk. So I understand my students, especially when
Mhm.
they're taking classes, psychology, history on campus with Americans, and that's really stressful for them.
Yeah, it
Um,
is. It is.
Actually, that's another thing that they do that's good is that they're taking other classes and they're learning more, and they're using language authentically, English authentically to learn something else.
Mhm.
But as far as what they don't do, that's things that are not very good or helpful for them is that that they're only, like I said, is the only time they speak or hear English is when they're in class. And I
Yeah.
just don't know how to, change that. Like, I'm like, we have a speaking club, we have a book club, we have this, we have that, we have all these programs, and then they might not just go, they might not access them. Another thing is that they might be so focused on being correct grammatically because they're so they remember studying the rules. They know the grammar rules, and that's kind of all they've studied. That when they
Mhm.
talk, they can't focus on fluency. They can't be fluent, and they're so focused on being right or wrong. That's not good. And then the other thing is that they think that they need to be corrected every single time they're talking. They don't.
Mhm.
If we correct them every time they say something incorrectly, then that's just going to interrupt the flow of the authentic conversation that we're having, which is the point, right? Trying to get them away from thinking that they need to be corrected. Of course, I'm going to correct their papers and things like that.
Another thing is, I think a lot of them think that learning vocabulary is very important and grammar too. I had some students in the past who told me they had to memorize like 1,000 words a day.
What? That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So their parents ask them to, or the schools tell them to memorize, and then they'll have some sort of exam about that the next day. So I think this is very stressful for a lot of students. I know this because they've been telling me about, what they've been experiencing when
Yeah.
they're studying English in their um, country.
Yeah.
So I feel it really is a terrible way of measuring their fluency in
Mm-hmm.
English, or how good they are in English, because even if you memorize tons of vocabulary, it really won't help you unless you're able to use them, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, it's pretty
Memorizing is
difficult.
not learning.
Exactly, exactly. They should be given a chance to use the words they have learned, or maybe have someone to
Yeah,
put meaning into these words depending on the situation. So yeah,
exactly.
I think
Yeah.
that's one of the things that, a lot of learners are facing, and in Asia, most especially, I'd say.
Contextualizing what they learn.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Another thing is it's the lack of time to really learn English. It's
Oh, yeah.
another. Yeah, so most of them only have maybe 25 minutes or 1 hour a day to study English. And
Yeah.
then some of them expect to be fluent in English in the next 6 months or 1 year after studying online. So I think that's one of the challenges we're facing, because they have a distorted view of how to really learn the language. You really
Yeah.
have to practice for a very long time in order to
It
be
takes like,
fluent. Uh-huh.
yeah, it takes like 4 to 7 years or something like that when you're an adult.
Exactly. Exactly. And that means, putting much effort and time to learn the language, not
Yeah.
only 25 or, 15 minutes a day. This is something that, they expect when they study online, but I
Right.
don't think it's going to happen. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much. And I'm serious. I'm going to share your, I don't know if you guys have room, but I'm going to share with my students.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you then.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, I hope you
Welcome.
have a good day.
You too, Jamie. Thanks a lot
All
for having
right.
me. All
No
right.
problem. Thank
See
you.
you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye. Bye.